morning. It's about 10:30 Pacific time zone, and I'm sitting at my desk. My yarn stash is always behind me. My baskets are always now above me, and I'm in kind of the corner of the room looking out onto the side of our property and onto the road. And now that the leaves have really come off all the deciduous trees, now I'm more looking at the cedar trees and the ivy that's around a few of the maples that are next to them, and a lot of blackberries that are yellow and green and like this rusty brown of dying vegetation, which actually is really beautiful colors together. Maybe not the most inspiring view, but I used to have my desk in that corner facing the wall, and it was really uninspiring. So I think it was the beginning of 2018 that I moved it over here, and I think everything in this room is probably ideally situated. Sometimes I think about moving it again. We used to move the furniture around in this room when I was little all the time, like every once in a while, just to mix things up and stuff, and that definitely is helpful. I think, though, for my purposes, it's pretty ideal. So I don't know if it'll get moved again, but anyway, you can't see any of that. Maybe I'll take a picture, but yeah, so it's definitely going into the graying winter. So I have a candle behind me. It's a wax and wool candle. It is the cinnamon chai, which is, I think, my favorite. These are from last year. She is not using the clear glasses anymore. Those are ones from last year, because I have many from last year because that was my favorite scent. So I kind of decided that this year I probably don't need to get any. I still have some Christmas scents from last year too. So I wish I had a bigger space to burn them in. It's a little small in here, so I don't burn them as long as maybe I did at first, but it kind of gets too intense for this small of a space. I was house sitting for somebody who had really tall ceilings, and they it was awesome because I left 2 wax and wool candles burning all day long, and it was great. It was really cozy, and I never got like too overwhelmed in here. In fact, I have one of those coil space heaters right here that I'm constantly turning it up and down because it's not quite cold enough to leave it at the same temperature all the time yet. And so I'm constantly like, oh, now I'm too warm, turning it off. Now I'm a little cold, I should put a sweater on, turn it up. So I'm preparing to record today. I turned it up, and then I lit the candle, and then I put a sweater on, and then now I'm a little bit too warm. So just turned the heater down because apparently this space heats up really quickly. One more thing that came to mind before I'll move on from this topic didn't know I was going to talk about, is that when I redid the space at the beginning of 2018, I had yarn stashed in bags kind of all along the walls. And it was a little bit feeling like I was getting buried a little bit. So I redid the stash. I added more shelves on this bookshelf that had lots of books on it at the time. It's now almost all yarn except for the middle 2 sections of the bottom and the middle. The middle sections of the middle and the bottom have books in them, but everything else is yarn. And like I said in a previous podcast, I had yarn up to here until recently too. So anyway, I reorganized everything, and I went through everything, and I got rid of projects that I didn't care about. I got rid of a lot of things that I had sort of started and never, I threw stuff away that was too tangled up. I took a lot of stuff to my local thrift store. And so I kind of feel like I moved the yarn through. And subsequently, I no longer had bags of yarn kind of like stashed around the base of the wall and the floor. And it made the room a lot colder, actually. A lot colder. It was really cold. But anyway, when it gets down to like freezing and the floor gets cold, then it's more of a then I definitely notice like, oh, I need the heat up and I need to wear the sweaters and everything. But right now, I don't know if it's not getting down to freezing at night yet. So, or it was kind of in October. We had a little bit in October, and now we're back to sort of normal fall. I think it's probably in the 40s at night or in the 50s during the day. So, and it's been really beautiful until like maybe up to the last few days, and then we kind of get this blanket. There's just like a certain level of gray that's really hard to tolerate, I think, at first, or maybe people have a hard time tolerating it the longer it stays. Everybody deals with SADS, seasonal affective disorder, differently. I don't really feel affected by it, except, I don't know. Anyway, I'll think about that for a later topic, maybe. But anyway, I've got my wax and wool candle. I have my tea pot with some ribose in it, and I have my new teacup from Tolt Yarn and Wool. They just released this cup when they had their 6th anniversary. So I'm gonna pour myself some more tea. And one of the things I wanted to share, I have some stuff I have acquired since I recorded last, just little things, nothing big, but that I would like to show you. But I also really want to, the main reason I wanted to record today was that at the beginning of last week, I recorded, well, I decided to reorganize the way, what do I want to say about that? Last Monday, I wrote down a new whip list, and I basically sort of lightly scheduled myself for the next month. And I do that in my knitting planner. This is a Jen Geigley notebook that is for 2019. And I'm definitely going to get a 2020 because I don't always use it because I kind of forget, but that's kind of me in planners. Like I go in and out of using them, but I do use them. So it was worth getting it. I think I did a story on Instagram about the different kinds of pages that are in here. But what I did Monday, which I find super helpful, is that they have a page at the beginning of, let's go to November. They have a page before the month that gives you a project planner. And so in here I tried to write down this time every pattern I could think of that that I'm currently working on designing, or I wanted to cast on, or I wanted to swatch for, because I just felt like I had a lot of stuff swirling around in my mind and I needed a place to put it. So I definitely benefit from writing stuff down and making lists over and over and over again as many times as necessary, and editing that list. And so then what I did, once I did this and actually ended up texting additional patterns or design idea list off of my mind to friends in text, like, oh, well, I have all these things. And then I thought I should really put them in one place, and I should make it editable because it's always changing anyway. And there's just something not quite real enough about writing it down in pencil. So I did a sheet of, it has personal whips on it, it has design whips, it has projects I've thought about casting on for, which means I have yarn for them, and gifts too, because I've got a hat that I said I would make for someone that he asked me 2 weeks ago to make him something, and I picked the yarn out, but I haven't done anything else. It's just going to be a 2x2 rib the whole way, I think. But still, like, I have to think about those things, and if I want to be efficient, I mean, I'm kind of like a fly by the seat of my pants designer anyway, at least right now. I'm not really a planner in the sense of like, I'm going to say I'm going to have this done. I'll meet deadlines, but I don't necessarily meet my own deadlines. When I've done collaborations with yarn companies, I've delivered when I said I would, which was really stressful. So for me, it's sort of like, well, do I feel like really pushing? One of the ways that I can get through stuff, though, is if I write it down and figure out what I really want. And that's the hard part, is figuring out what I really want to do right now. because what I really want to do will happen and anything else won't happen. So I need generally every once in a while, maybe once a month, maybe every 2 weeks, to be reminded by a list or by a goal that, oh yeah, this is what I wanted to do in this time. And then I'll stay motivated. It's kind of like, I guess, keeping the information fresh on the forefront of my mind, because I can really only focus on a few things per week anyway. So yeah, so to get all of everything out, like I put design ideas on here that I really don't want to work on right now, but they're ideas that I have, and I have yarn for them, or like stuff for maybe next summer, or those socks I wanted to make, like just vague stuff, because then, I don't know, it feels like an obligation, I think, until it's on the list, because then I can choose to or not to based on everything that I've got. Not just whatever I thought of, but everything. I can look at all of them and say, okay, these are all the things that I could do. What is it that I really want? That sort of makes it there's less pressure than if I'm working on something and I think, oh, right, I was going to do that other thing, and then I forgot, and I don't know, should I do it still? So it's sort of, I don't know if that makes sense, but it helps me see everything and then make the right choice. Yeah, I mean, I've got projects on here, personal projects. I've got 9 whips currently. That was another thing, too, about making this list that was really helpful, is I had all these personal whips. Oh, I have 9. I've got 9 up there in baskets and bags. And do I really, what could I do? Because I have what I did this morning. This is an example of how my whip list works. Not that I need to prove it to you or anything. I'm sure you believe me and have your own. But this is the Timber Cardigan by So Very Shannon that I stopped working on because I didn't want to do magic loop anymore, and I was waiting for a size 9 9-inch circular to come in the mail. And it did, and then I didn't pick it up. And I just needed to get into the rhythm of working with the 9-inch circular and not stop paying attention to how many rows left I had, but more paying attention to how much progress I'd made. So one of the really helpful things was this little cookie that Eden made. Come on, there we go. Which I think is my favorite progress keeper right now. Tagging it on after every decrease I made in the sleeve, and then I finished half of a sleeve in one night and cast it off the next morning, and then the next morning also we wove in all the ends because I thought, well, why not? I hate doing that, so if I'm motivated to do it now, I might as well. So I wove all the ends in, and then I cast on the second sleeve and maybe knit a couple sittings more of that so that I got this done this morning. So that was not something I had actually written it down. The other thing about this book is what I end up doing on the big month at a glance page. On the side here, it says on the Saturday what I want to have finished. So tomorrow is the 16th, and I want to have timber done. And I made it. Now, I wrote this down at the beginning of the month. Well, a couple weeks ago, I wrote that down. But I hadn't worked on it. And so the fact that I actually did it was because of the whip list. Because I looked at the list of all these personal whips and thought, well, what can I get done right now to make this list smaller? Well, timber, because it's almost done. And then the socks, the Homespun House socks that I have, a pair, and pumpkin spice, and I have a puddle jumper pair. And the puddle jumper pair, I think, is pretty close. I'm like almost done with the second one. And that's on the list for next week, for the 23rd. I wanted to have one pair of socks done. And then on the 30th of November, I have Barndom, which is a shawl pattern by Stephen West, which I haven't pulled out. No one has seen it in a really long time. I think it's down somewhere. Anyway, those are the things, like planning just a few weeks ahead, those are the things that I want to have done. And that really helped. Anyway, long story to tell you that I actually did finish it this morning, and I'll probably weave in this little end and then put it in the water today and block it later tonight. And that's really exciting. The cool thing about typing my list out also is that I can then cross it off and leave it crossed off maybe for a few days and then print off another one that has a smaller list on it. So there's that. I mean, I've never really printed it before. It just felt really good to print it and to get everything out of my head and get it on paper. And I find that doing it a month at a glance, what I really want to have done, helps me manage both design ideas and personal stuff. Because it really does give you, well, how many days you really have, how many, I mean, I've also broken it down in the past, like how many hours am I going to knit today? One of the other things I do, which I haven't been doing lately, but I have done in this book, let's see if I can find a month where I was doing it all the time. I think it broke down before summer. Yeah, this is sort of in April when I was working on the No Frills, which I'm currently wearing. I just wrote down how many, see, this is 10 plus, 8 plus, 5 plus, how many hours I knit that day and what I worked on. And then I also have done in the past where, oh yeah, this is April's a great month. I was really on it in April. What I worked on that day. You know, it has a name. Oh, I worked on the No Frills. I worked on my little black sweater. I worked on Threshold, which was a sweater I finished of Melanie Berg's, I think. And then it has the date of like when I finished it on, so that I have, it's a diary, right, of what I've worked on, but it also keeps me focused on the springtime. I was really good about finishing older whips and getting stuff done. It kind of broke down in the beginning of summer when I started this, sort of broke down. But that's okay because I can always pick it back up anytime. And certainly looking about it and looking at a month like this and planning and thinking about it makes that an easier decision to make to get back into keeping track of them. Yeah, and it's also just I don't make a big deal out of not following through on something. Like I have this shawl coming up called Meet Cute that I'm almost done with the sample. I was almost done when I was talking to you last time. I ran out of yarn again. I was using and am using, this is what I got in the mail this week, the Custom Woolen Mills, which is a mill in Alberta, Canada. This is the black, the prairie wool. Prairie wool, it's not going to come up. I think it's too bright right now. This is sort of a bulky weight. I'm doing a shawl with some of this, and I grabbed that yarn at Knit City. I did not mean to design with it. I was going to knit something else just for fun, and then I got an idea and I started, and then I knew, oh, I'm going to need more because I had 3 colors and I only had 1 skein of each color. So I ordered, and then I got through the second color and ran out of that color, and then ordered. So I ordered from Canada twice, and I've purchased this yarn now 3 times. They sent it to me very quickly this last time. So now I'm working on a shawl that, of course, is like getting to be 300 stitches and bulky yarn. It's really big, so it's just taking me a while. So it is written in that knitting notebook that I showed you. It was written for last Saturday that I wanted to finish it, but I ran out of yarn last week. So now I'm back working on it again, and I need to readjust the deadline to get myself motivated to continue. But yeah, anyway, I hope that was helpful. When I thought about talking about it on here, maybe it was more concise than that. It took me a long time to say. But anyway, making a list or figuring out how you work, what works best for your personality, I feel like I sort of coax myself into productivity because I really love procrastinating. And I'll cast on an entirely different project just because I don't want to work on something. So I'm trying not to let that happen to the shawl design because it's ready to go. It's written, and I just need to finish the sample, take photographs, and then it can go off to the tech editor and then off to sample knitter. So now I'm looking more like January release probably, but I don't Anyway, I'm done with this. My timber cardigan. I'll take pictures, of course, and put it on Instagram. I knit, I have a 32-inch bust. But I knit the 34, I think. I knit the third size from the smallest because I actually wanted it to be a little, it's an open cardigan. I wanted it to be a little closer. And I think the yarn was also a little bit, I didn't get gauged. The yarn was a little bit bigger than the Brooklyn tweed it called for. This is Peace Fleece, their worsted weight in the wild mustard color. I did not need extra yarn. So last time I talked about buying yarn and how the colors were different. This one's a little greener than this one. I don't know if you can tell. No, probably, yeah. You can tell a little bit. This is the greener one. This is a little bit more orangey. Anyway, I did not need these skeins. I bought 3 skeins. I don't need them. I don't need them at all. I totally am fine, actually. I think I finished the sleeve today and I still have a little bit of a ball left over. I don't know where it is. But I'm done. So I am going to block it and then she recommended you block it before you tack down the sleeves. So I will whip stitch the sleeves in place, whip stitch the pockets in place, and then after it's blocked. I did make the collar a little longer, which maybe I shouldn't have done. I have a really long neck, so I was worried about it not being as tall because I really liked in the picture how it sort of flared open, but it's kind of a little too long, so it'll probably for me end up being more like sitting like this on me, which is fine. I think it'll still look great. And I made the armhole depth deeper by like 3 inches, and I thought it was too much. I tried it on and had someone look at it and says, does it look hanging like it's really hanging far below? But like from the back neck down to here was in the pattern for that size that I knit 7 inches and I knit 10 inches, and it fits perfectly at the right spot in my underarm. And then I also knit it extra long in the body because I wanted it to sort of hit maybe where my spot, like below, like cover my bottom, I think, or at least I didn't want it to break the sweater hem to break across in the middle of my bottom, so I think it covers it. Yeah. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm also really excited that even though I had to buy more yarn, I'm also really excited that I made that entire sweater with what I had. And I also had a friend, she knit 2 hats with the original quantity I had. I gave her a whole skein. So I think I knit that sweater in 5 skeins, which is amazing because it's so big. It's so long. I do have 5 swatches. I didn't have to unravel those swatches that I had, so I have quite a bit of yarn left that I can do an entirely different project with, and I have no idea what I would do. I know I have that little pamphlet that Peace Fleece sent me with different ideas of what I could do. I guess I could buy some more of it, or I could gift it. I could give it away sometime. Anyway, what else do I have to show you now that I've talked about my planning thing? I showed you my little progress keeper that I love so much. This is a Yarrow & Co. is the name of Eden's business, and you can Google it. It's a Squarespace. I'll put it below. I'll put the web address below. I don't think she has her own Instagram yet. Okay. I showed you the custom woolen mills. I have 3. I should have showed these on IG already, but I got 3 mini skeins of a Homespun House. It's kind of washing out this pink. There we go. This purpley pink. This one is Don't Kill My Vibe. These are 10 gram minis, not 5. Molly let me know that I said they were 5 because I thought they were, but no. So Don't Kill My Vibe, I got a little 5 or a little 10 grammer. And this is Halloween Town, which is kind of green and white. And she may or may not have any more of this left since Halloween is past, but this is a cute little one. I really like the purple and the white and the green together. That's nice. And then this is fried pickles, which is goldeny browns with a little bit of green and blue, which I think is going to look great with as a toe and a heel of a sock. My socks, my Homespun House socks. That's the great thing about having your baskets hanging up, is that at the end of the day, I can just hang everything. Like, my projects are not strewn about anywhere. They're all in containers and they all get hooked up. So actually, every time I want to work on something, if I'm working on multiple things at the same time, which I am, I was working on timber, I was working on my shawl design, I was working on socks, and also the pullover that's in here that I'll show you. Yeah, I know where they all are at any one time. The puddle jumper socks, that's what I was going for. The puddle jumper sock, number 1, has the pumpkin spice colorway for the toe and the heel. This is a 16-inch leg, which I love. It doesn't actually fit the circumference of my calf all the way up, but I don't want to wear them straight up. So instead of making it bigger and then decreasing down, I just knit it straight because I actually want all that slouch to hit sort of like mid-calf. So it didn't matter. And then the pumpkin spice, I also started knitting a pair of pumpkin spice socks. And so I can't make the pumpkin spice ones as long as these puddle jumper ones because I've used up a considerable amount right here. But I have the pickle that I might use for... Anyway, what I'm trying to say is I don't mind if they don't match. And I don't mind if the toe and the toe has more than, 2 inches of this color. I might add a stripe in there and make it longer because I'm running out of pumpkin spice for my other pair, which I can show you. And I have about this much of puddle jumper left. I think I marked right here. I was where the heel needs to be, just kind of where I just stopped. So I have a whole foot to make, and I don't have this much, so I don't know if I'll make it. But it doesn't matter because I could throw in something like the pickle. Yep. So I really don't care because that's the part of the foot that nobody sees. And what I'm really interested in is having socks that are the right fit and having socks that are slouchy. That's what I care about. I don't care about them matching. I don't care about what the toes look like. I'm not going to be wearing my socks in Birkenstocks around town, probably, where people could see it. So it really doesn't matter, and it's really fun to change colors. The pumpkin spice ones, I'm on sock number 1, and I only have this much. But I have very little left. So I think this is I split the skein in 2 equal balls and used some of this ball to do the toe and the heel from the pumpkin for the puddle jumper ones. So I don't actually have as much to hit this whole. So this is going to be something else at the bottom, which actually I intended to do. I intended to have it be It's Okay to Be Alone was going to be the toe and the heel for the pumpkin spice because there's a little bit of pumpkin spice in there, it looks like. So these might end up being considerably more blue than I was originally thinking, but it doesn't matter. Not at all. So basically these are just fun. Pumpkin spice colorway is really pretty though. I bet she's got more of this in stock because it's not Thanksgiving yet. So, and I have my pie slice on my pumpkin spice. I have my pumpkin pie Progress Keeper from Eden on my pumpkin spice socks. That's how cute is that? So those are, I gotta finish probably the blue pair by next week because it's nice to, I don't knit socks very quickly, as it turns out. I do knit when I'm working on them. I knit them very fast, but I also really am a sweater kind of person, so I end up putting it down and knitting on something bigger, sweatery, more sweatery, which is and has been, besides the timber. This green probably is not going to show up accurate. It looks more dusty than it should. It's anyway. It's the Forager by Melody Hoffmann, Bee Mandarines, and this has not been out yet. I am a Patreon member of hers, and so I got the beta pattern, and I've been knitting it. I'm almost done with the yoke, and I chose to make it in the same colors she did because that's what really got me. This is Plutolopi in Forest, I think. It's on her. There's a YouTube video of her talking about this colorway, and it's listed underneath exact. I know that this is the Knitting for Olive bottle green, and this is, I think, Forest from Plutolopi. So them together held kind of gives it that really Christmassy green. It's a little frosted, and it has the luster from the silk in the mohair that moves, because sometimes the silk strand in mohair, sometimes the mohair strand sits right on top of the yarn you're holding it with, or it kind of slips to the back. So you get this kind of, it's not a variegated, it's just sort of random, but it gives it a really nice look that it's not 100% the same every stitch. You kind of have these like spots over here that are a little bit more shiny, maybe is the right word. Anyway, it's definitely not coming across as vibrant on the camera as it does in real life, but yeah. So now it would be nice to have that done sometime before Christmas, because it's a really Christmassy feeling sweater. Something I'm also going to hopefully cast on and finish before Christmas is an As If tee, which I will show you what I got. I saw there's a Instagram gal in profile called Petite Knit, and she knit a black one. She knit different yarn than I ended up buying, but it looked really beautiful and classy, and so I thought it would be really nice to have a Christmassy party sweater in black. So I got the mohair in Isager, and then the black in Woolfolk. This is Far. And this is color number 15, which is just the straight black. And the Isager number is 30, which I got both of these at Tolt Yarn and Wool. And I think I'm going to knit it in the round. There's options in that pattern to knit it flat and knit it in the round. And as much as I don't care about construction, I do care about my purl stitches not being... I think my purl stitches are tighter than my knit stitches. But anyway, they're not the same, and so I definitely get what's called rowing out, where there's space between the purl row. If you look at if you're looking at a piece of flat knitting, you look at the back on the purl side. If you've got your purl ridge are separated more, that's kind of thing called rowing out, and I do that from time to time. So I think it'd look better. I think it would be tidier if I knit it in the round. Yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else to show you. My mom finished a shawl last night. She likes to do scrappy shawls, so whatever she's got left. This is a asymmetrical. You start over here, and you knit, and then you cast off this whole long edge. This has got Shut Up and Drive from a Homespun House, and Shut Up and Drive mohair that she then held with a sort of beige color from Malabrigo, and then she's got this other section with little bits, two different browns she had left over. This one, I use the right finger, this one and that one were different. And so I really just love, and she finished it last night and I put it on and I kind of got a little possessive about it. Like, this is for me. You said you were going to give this away? No, this one's for me. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but anyway, it's really nice. The mohair is really beautiful, and I like the color. I like the alternating stripes of a speckled and a solid yarn. I like you can't really tell in the video over film, but that the mohair has colors. You can kind of tell. Yeah, the mohair is speckled. It's one of the Molly speckled mohair. So we talked about it, my mom and I talked about it last night, that you could do a mohair over a speckled merino skein that maybe would give you a similar effect as using a speckled mohair over a solid skein. And it just is really nice. We were talking about maybe putting some tassels, and I could put a tassel on this point, front point, and then on the ends, because I really love tassels. Anyway, it's not mine, but I have it in my space because I haven't given it back to her yet. She has my Find Your Fade, so it's fair. It's okay. She's had my Find Your Fade for months and months, and somebody at church came up to her and said, "Oh, it's so beautiful." And she said, "Oh, my daughter made it." And then the woman said, "Well, she should give it to you." And when my mom told me this, I was like, you need to tell her that shawl cost over $300 in yarn and several months of knitting. And borrowing it is just fine rather than gifting it, because it's just, I don't know. I guess she's had it for so long, but in the same way that she doesn't actually want to give this to me, she said, well, I want to wear it too. So I guess it could be maybe a little communal. I don't know. Yeah, that's it, I think. I got some great feedback that everybody really liked my mom being in the podcast too. So that'll definitely be, hopefully we'll do one together, and then I can do one by myself, and then do one together again. She said that she needs to finish knitting stuff so she has something to talk about. Like, you don't need to show. You don't need to have something finished every time. I mean, I only finished that timber cardigan today, like an hour ago. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had anything finished since I recorded by myself last time. So it really doesn't matter. And we have lots of conversations about creativity. We have lots of conversations about making things and stuff that doesn't really matter if we're finishing. So I'm kind of a slow finisher. She's kind of a slow finisher too. So yeah, thanks for watching again, and you will see me later. I won't see you, but you'll see me. Bye.